Hi, and welcome to the Chronicles of Yarnia, the podcast from Montclair's local yarn store, Yarnia. I'm Jen.
Amanda.
Kathleen.
And make sure that you like and subscribe to us down below so you can get notifications of when we have a new podcast up.
Yep.
So, ladies, let's talk about what's going on around town. What's going on around town?
Well, the film festival just wrapped up.
Yes.
2 nights ago now.
Did you get to see anything?
I got to see yesterday,
Oh!
which was amazing. It was so, that was the
so
super
good?
secret screening on the first Saturday night.
Yeah.
So excited and happy to get a ticket, and I can't wait to see it again. It was excellent.
Really?
Oh, fabulous. Well, the writer, screenwriter of Love Actually, Danny Boyle, director. Himesh Patel is, new to me anyway, actor who is fabulous, and the music of the Beatles. It's like, what else could you possibly want? So,
I know, I came into the store the other day, and you were like, I'm on a Beatles kick. And I'm like,
yep,
cool.
we've been playing the Beatles. It premieres in most theaters June 28th. So I definitely recommend putting it on your list for summer.
I was really bummed that was the
instant
one
classic.
that I was going to miss because I was away, but I didn't realize it opened so quickly. I love that.
Yeah, I know. I was very happy to hear it opened quickly. So.
Good, I'll drag Jonathan.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is it going to be at the Claremont, do you know? Or is it
they haven't released. It's going to be in broad release. It's going to be, I
Cool.
think it's going to be one of the movies of the summer. I really do. It was excellent. It was enjoyed every minute of it. And thank you to Karen, our customer and friend, who got me a ticket.
Thanks, Karen.
Nice, Karen.
Very nice. So other things, in terms of things coming up, Montclair Bounce, which is a festival
is this the first time
This is a first-time initiative. And it sounds like a community building thing, really, to try to just, I think, Montclair has a magnet school system, which, we know, but not everyone watching knows, of course. And
what does that mean?
That means that for elementary school, people list their preference of which school they'd like their kids to go to, and they all sort of have different themes. I mean, they all have the same basic curriculum, New Jersey State curriculum, but every school has its own flavor, basically.
Yeah.
So one of them...
so all the elementary schools have open houses in the spring, and the parents can go to each of the schools and see which one fits your family dynamic best. It's not just whatever school's close to your house.
Right.
What I think it really means in terms of like the community and stuff is the fact that kids from all over town, not just your neighborhood, go to all of the schools. So you can go to the school across town and, with folks who are near you, but also farther away from you. So I think it's a really great, it mixes it up for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is just to kind of bring the whole town together, because you don't necessarily have that neighborhood feeling because of the neighborhood schools so much. And part of it is, part of it benefits, or at least some of the individual events benefit, I believe it's Tony's Kitchen.
That's great.
The local soup kitchen in town, or one of the places that deals with food insecurity. So, from what I've seen so far, it looks like a really interesting and fun thing. They're bringing people together to try new crafts. We're hoping and, have been invited to participate, doing demos of knitting and spinning.
Cool.
I think it's something like June 1st. We'll get the dates in, we'll confirm and get the dates in before that.
And double check, we'll link to it.
Yeah, I'll link
down below so you can get all the details if you're local.
Yeah. So that's an exciting thing coming up. And actually, usually by now, I feel like there'd be more things happening in the Iris Garden, but the weather has been so lousy.
It's cold.
We are still wearing hand knits on March, 14th?
May
14th.
May.
See,
May
I keep
14th.
thinking it feels like March.
I'm perfectly comfortable. And normally I'd be like, I'm done, I'm hot.
Feel those layers.
It's really nice. It's really nice. I turned the heat back on yesterday because
I've never turned it off. I'm so...
Oh, I had mine on.
I've never turned... Well,
I turned mine off. I was like, but I need the AC sometimes.
Yeah.
So speaking of sweater weather, let's talk a little bit about finished objects.
Sounds good.
Why
don't you start?
I'll go first because I finished my Camaro.
It's so pretty.
All right, so let me see if I can do this without...
That's okay.
I'm going to go like that.
I was watching...
So anyway, this is Camaro. It is in Knitted Wit DK, and I used the Double Bubble Minis for the stripes. Starting with this one is my favorite. And then it goes down, and it was actually a relatively quick knit. I feel like once I did the yoke on the minis, and then I was actually waiting for our next shipment of Knitted Wit DK for the body, because we only had one skein of the gray I wanted to use, and I figured... she's an indie dyer, better to have it all in
That's
in
a
one
good idea.
batch.
That's always a good idea.
And it gave me a deadline midway / a deadline like rest period where I had a couple of days where I was like, okay, I made it. I'm ready to do the gray, and now I just need to wait for it to show up. But I really like the fit of it. I blocked it last Friday, and then it took a while to dry because it's so cold.
And rainy.
And wet. But it blocked out beautifully. I love the fabric.
It looks gorgeous.
And I was saying earlier, I hit exactly the right length for sweaters for me. So I need to measure it and then write it down and put it in my Ravelry so I remember what the right length for me is, as opposed to shortening a sweater, lengthening a sweater, shortening a sweater. For those of you that have
followed this podcast for the last 4 episodes,
the saga of the ripping of the hem of the sweater.
I know how to shorten a sweater really well. I've always known how to shorten a sweater really well. This is the saga of the last 40 years of my life, basically.
Oh, well.
But it's done.
But now
I'm happy.
It's awesome.
And I can wear it.
Did you knit this according to pattern?
Pretty much according to pattern.
This is the Camaro by Tanis.
Tanis Lavallee, Tanis Fiber Arts. The only modification I made is I added a center stitch. The pattern is written, this side I think is 1 stitch shy of this side, and I'm fussy. So I made it 100% symmetrical. Not that a stitch is going to make a lick of difference. I totally understand why the pattern was written that way. I just figured might as well. I did a different rate of decrease on the sleeves because it's top down. Because I wanted slimmer sleeves, and I did more decreases in the sleeves because I wanted them slim all the way down.
And did you shorten them, or is that the length
so there are 2 options in the pattern, both for length of the sweater, a tunic length with a split hem, or a more cropped length, and I kind of did an in the middle version of it. And then there are 2 lengths for the sleeves, 3/4 and then full length. And I did a little bit longer than the 3/4 length that was called for, mostly because I knew where I wanted it to hit on me. And actually, I did the ribbing on one of them, and then kind of like shoved my arm in to see with like clothes on, shoved my arm in, and was like, no, that's too short. So then I picked out the ribbing. So I did actually have to adjust the length at least once. But that was in process. That was not after it was finished.
That's why we do sleeves top down.
That's why we do sleeves top down.
That's right.
I also added short rows in the back neck. I did a provisional cast on here before I started because I wasn't sure how I wanted to do the finish. The pattern as written is just cast on and then block it flat. That was not my preferred way, so I did a provisional cast on, and then when I went back and I picked up stitches, I realized I had tried it on at that point, and I realized the back was going back too far, so I added a bunch of short rows between the shoulders to raise the back neck up so I was more comfortable. And then I did a 2-stitch I-cord bind off.
I love the bind off. I think
which
it's really
I think works really well. I tried doing like a couple of rows of 1x1 rib, but it was coming in too close, and I like the open neckline, and I like the V.
Great. It's really nice.
So yeah,
cool.
It's done.
You have to put those notes in your Ravelry.
I know. I did a bunch of the notes at the time, so I did most of them at the time, so I should be okay.
Cool.
We'll see when I actually get those notes out.
Your Ravelry project manager.
My Ravelry project. Yes.
If it's not in.
That would be Amanda. I have one more finished object, but I'm going to save that for the next podcast because I don't have it here, and it is drying. Eventually it will dry when the rain stops. Yeah.
So in 3 months.
In 3 months.
Let's hope not.
When we're all on boats in the flood. Yeah, good times.
So what do you have any finished objects with you, Amanda?
I don't have recently finished objects because I'm in the middle of big projects. I'll tell you what I'm wearing though.
Yeah.
I'm wearing an old finished object. This is my Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry. This is the one we had the knit along for last spring, and it uses Sonoma. That's their DK weight base in a it was a Comfort Fade Cardi kit that we special ordered. So I'll stand up and I'll headless it. So this cardigan is knit in reverse stockinette for the body, and then there's a shawl collar. It's a fantastically written pattern. I love the way it fits, and I wear this all the time. But on the back, and I'll take pictures of it.
So pretty.
To give you a better close-up.
So pretty.
I added a big lace panel because, and this is the great thing about knitting your own sweater, is you can say, okay, there's a huge swath of reverse stockinette on the back of this. I know I'm going to get bored.
I'd rather
knitting.
do cables.
Yeah.
I totally can
I'd
see
rather
that.
do cables.
Yeah.
So I have various stitch dictionaries at home, so I went through and found a cable that worked for the width of the stitch width on the back of the sweater and just put it down the back. I will say it's from the Japanese Stitch Dictionary, which has a lot of twisted stitches. So twisted knits, twisted purls. It's twisted both on the knit and the purl side.
Wow.
And there was a lot of swearing involved in the first repeat. Because it was really, the charts, if you haven't seen Japanese lace charts, they're very complicated, at least from my skill level.
I think they are for most people.
They're complicated for any skill level. They're just complicated.
They are.
So
Make amazing things, but complicated.
It took a while.
Need to beautiful.
But that's the great thing I think about reverse stockinette is that the background of cable patterns is usually reverse stockinette, right? Because you want those stockinette stitches in the cable to pop.
Yeah.
So a reverse stockinette sweater is a perfect canvas to sort of do your own cable thing.
Yeah. That's so pretty.
So that's I really enjoyed making this. I was knitting on it like while I was in labor at the hospital with Charlie a year ago.
No.
So
that's hardcore if you're committing to like Japanese stitch charts in labor.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty hardcore.
That's hardcore.
There was nothing else to do.
That's
right?
true.
Sitting
At
around
that
waiting.
point, you're like, I'm just waiting for baby.
Right.
All right. I'm wearing my Stoneham Poncho, which I finished
it.
and blocked. Thank you. Sorry.
I know we're all headless.
Yes.
So I made the back a
it's
little bit
so
longer. I
pretty.
just like that tiny
Oh,
detail.
so you have short rows in the back?
Ooh,
No,
like
just the
oh,
ribbing. I just
I
did the ribbing a tiny bit longer. And
Ooh,
partly
cute.
I did that just so that I could tell which was the front when I was putting it on. I mean,
Yeah.
not that they're different, but whatever. I just felt like doing it. So I did. And yeah,
It's your knitting.
Really happy
It's your
with
knitting,
it.
your choice.
So I used the Scout for both the blue and the cream, and then the knitted wit gumballs for the accent color.
I love those
both.
gumballs.
They go so well
Double
together.
bubbles.
The thing I loved when I was looking at this yarn, I mean, it's got so much dimension in the color. So both this purple and the blue I used here are visible in that navy, which is so fun.
And you can really see it in person. It's hard to see it on the screen because you can't necessarily get the depth, but
Yeah.
like, oh, so gorgeous.
Yeah, so fun.
Love
So, and you know, since we're having this crazy weather for May, I'm actually getting to wear it. I thought for sure I
Yeah.
would not get to wear this, but I'm very happy to do it. And then my second
Thank you,
finished
Weather.
object is my Emilia Poncho.
Can't believe this. You're
which
so prolific.
I know.
You know what? I don't usually knit that fast on this, but I just wanted to get it done. I don't know.
That's the best kind of project,
didn't
though.
allow
Hold it up,
myself to
Penny.
do much else before I was alternating between this and one other project, and I think it took me like a week of
amazing.
I think I was doing like one repeat a night. Because I like stretchy yarns. I really prefer to work with stretchy yarns. And so I didn't want to like overtire my hands by working with the linen cotton blend too much.
What is this worked in?
This is Juniper Moon Zoe.
Nice.
This is
In
the
the
cardamom?
cardamom colorway.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so pretty.
Yep, which love that.
So how do you...
But the funny thing, the big tip too for me with this, and one of our instructors, Susan Leibowitz, was the one who said it to me. I was complaining about my tension a little bit, and she's like, you know, if you're not a big lover of those kind of yarns, for stretch and everything, make sure you use bamboo needles. And I did that. I changed it because I'm a very loose knitter, as you guys know. And it made all the difference. So I did like one repeat a night for the front for the first ball. This was only 2 balls.
I like pacing projects like that where you have repeats and you know in your head, okay, I have a daily goal.
Exactly.
Right.
That was
It's
what
like
I did.
tracking your steps.
which is not usually what I do. But then by the time I got to the second ball with the bamboo needle, I did this back in 2 days.
What?
I did.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. It was just
Wow.
and for whatever was going on right then, I just had a lot of knitting time those days.
Right.
So I banged it out, and I'm really. When it gets warm, I'll wear it.
Yeah.
If it gets warm this year, right?
So you wait so this is a rectangle that's seamed, right?
Right. You seam it up the back, and then
so you wear it with the
you wear it with
seam
the
in
lace
back.
across the bottom and the front.
I'm going to make
yeah.
Kathleen try it on and get a picture.
Yeah, I will model.
Oh, it's such a great fabric. I love it.
It really
It's like
is
perfect
nice
for...
and amazing. I mean, that's 2 balls of Zoe, and I did make it a tiny bit bigger than the pattern suggested, but not much.
I love it.
So I cut it out of 2.
Longer or wider?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a large girl, so I wanted to make it more
that's
proportional
good to know,
me.
how you can flex your pattern.
I just, I was getting gauge, I picked a needle size and I was getting gauge pretty well, and I just added enough so that it would be an inch longer, basically, so it was like 4 more stitches.
Just so it would drape a little.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a really nice drapey fabric. I'm going to be using this yarn, the Zoe, for our summer sweater class, which starts this week, that I haven't swatched for yet.
I'll do it.
Well, you'll swatch along with your class. I mean, that's an important part of starting the sweater.
I asked them to do it before they came to class.
I
have time. I have a couple of days. Also, do as I say, not as I do. We'll be good.
Yeah.
But
going
this
to
is really
knit
nice.
along with you guys too, because I love the sweater. it's been
so
in my
pretty.
queue for a long time.
Campside cardigan, I love this fabric, which is gonna make such a nice like if it's anything like this.
And I definitely could see it even being a little tighter than this. I think for the poncho, super loose like this is nice, but
mine is going to
probably
be, I
work
think,
it a little bit more firmly. But it'll still drape beautifully because it's linen cotton.
Oh, 100%. But I really like how it looks. It looks great.
Thank you. I'm
awesome.
really happy with it.
I'm
very happy. Yeah. All right. So, shall we talk about whips?
Yeah, let's talk about whips.
We're being fast today because once again we have a timing deadline. I have a business call. So.
But that's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay.
We
were a little long on the last one, so maybe we'd be a little short on this one.
So,
we'll see. Yeah.
That's the thing. We never
Our externally imposed deadlines help us.
It's good. It keeps us focused. Otherwise, we'll just go off track. All right. So whips.
Do you want to talk about a whip, Jen?
Yes. Let's talk about a whip. I am still working on my socks that I started on the airplane for my last trip, and I'm tangled. There we go. My 2 at a time. Top down.
Love that yarn.
Socks.
Yeah, right.
And the gradient. I'm just getting into the gray now. I don't know if you can see. Well, Amanda will take a picture, or she'll use the picture that I sent last time, which was taken in the airport.
I'll take a picture of this.
I put my bag on top of the coffee stain that was on the side table in the airport, so you couldn't see it.
And this is one we're seriously teasing with this yarn.
I know. I'm tormenting people, but it's apple so
tree
pretty.
knits.
Apple tree knits copper sock. But hopefully
which we don't have in the store.
We don't have in the store
but we would like to stock.
But we would like to stock. So if we do have it available, we will definitely make sure to let you know. But honestly, this is it's the same kind of. This would look good in any gradient or any variegated. It's a really basic sock pattern. And it's just the sock pattern that I love, which I realized I never actually sent to Amanda or put in my notes and Ravelry. So maybe I'll do that this week if I get my act together.
Or maybe I'll make my Gryffindor socks.
Yes, you. Oh no, I gotta send it to you so you can.
Yeah, and
you can
Haley
do it.
wants
My
me
formula.
to make her some socks. I've been requested to make socks, so I will do that.
We should do a Harry Potter sock knit along. I have.
We should.
I have a Hufflepuff skein that I got.
We should
when
totally
we
do
had
that.
a show here.
Already made my Slytherin socks, but I am happy to make another one.
Yeah, let's do that. All right.
We should.
It's gonna be a thing.
It's gonna be a thing. And honestly, you could
Potter
do
socks.
Yeah.
Knitted Wit has Harry Potter colors, but also you could just pick we could just have the colors available, and you could do color work. You could do whatever you want. Because they cover a lot of colors on that.
Yep.
On the
Color
Harry Potter
work
houses.
would be gorgeous.
So pretty.
There are some cool patterns that I've seen
There's a Harry Potter sock pattern, I feel like, color work, or maybe I'm thinking it's the Harry Potter mittens.
Oh my goodness.
That are stunning.
Is that Dianna Walla as well?
Yeah,
that has the Harry Potter mittens.
Could be.
They're so pretty. They're so pretty.
That's in my brain queue, not in my Ravelry queue.
Right.
I
have a brain queue too. Definitely.
I got them
definitely.
all. Got them all. It's all a jumble. What are you working on?
So I have been up in the air a lot over the past couple of weeks.
Literally, not figuratively.
Right. Literally.
Flying.
On planes. And I have an insurance job, or a couple of them, as you probably know. And I work a lot when I'm at home. I don't have a lot of knitting time, like maybe late at night or at knitting circle is basically the only time that I get to do a few rows. But I refuse to work on my laptop in a plane for a lot of reasons. Like if the person next to me is trying to sleep and you've got that laptop glare, I think it's really frustrating.
Or the
right? Of the guy who's like, you can tell, or lady who is completely stressed out with their work. It's like dampens the vibe of the whole plane. So I use my plane time for knitting. So I always have a project. I'm working on it. I usually download podcasts. So I watch some and I have YouTube Red specifically to download podcasts and watch them on the plane.
That's smart.
Knitting podcast.
Cool.
So I watched Fruity Knitting. I watched some Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits.
Oh, nice.
I watched Vullenvine's recent episode. I watched...
Cool.
So anyway, I had a whole slew of them. And so I have 2 whips, because one was the first trip and the one was the second trip. So I'll show you my second trip first, because that's what's on top. We have a blanket we talked about last time, or the time before? Last time. We're knitting a blanket together here at Yarnia throughout the year. It's
Martin Storey.
Thank you. It's 2014 Pure Wool Superwash Knit Along. Mystery Knit Along. That's not a mystery because it was 2014. And there's like 3,000 projects on Ravelry about it now. You can go see exactly what it looks like. But it's 1 square a month we're working on. So we started the first square Sunday 2 weeks ago. And I'm doing a blanket that has its 8 square patterns, and I'm doing 6 of each pattern in each of the 6 colors of my blanket. So I have now finished 5 of that first pattern, and I've finished 4 of other patterns because my flight was delayed both ways. I took 2 colors. I took these colors, and I thought I'd finish one on the way there and one on the way home yesterday, because it was a 1-day trip. And I finished 1 3/4 on the way there, and I was like, this is a problem. So I finished this while we were still on the ground, and then I just knit the next month 2 in these 2 patterns so I can show folks.
But now you have show and tell.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the first square, though, and this is the nicely blocked one.
Oh yeah, let's show the block.
That's the nicely blocked.
But let's show unblocked.
Unblocked.
So
blocked.
A little crumply.
Yep.
And blocked.
All the stitches just really, and this is knit in the
Nice.
Germantown by Kelborn Woolens, right?
Love Germantown.
And these are almost all of my colors. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so
This is 5 colors, and then I also have a beige that's gonna go in there too. And that's the skein that I had in my bag in the morning, and I was like, my bag's too full. I don't need 3 colors. I can just do 2. And I should have had this. I'd be done with this month.
You'd be done with the month.
So that's my blanket.
That's one
that I'm working on with our knit along. And then last week I had another flight that was also delayed. I went to Des Moines, but we have to connect in Chicago. And instead of landing in Chicago, we were diverted to Milwaukee for an hour and a half and sat on the runway for an hour and a half before we flew to Chicago and then flew to Des Moines.
Oh my Lord.
So I brought this sweater, which I started this with our Clear Out Your Q cow.
Which I started this with the Clear Out Your Q cow.
So I started this in January.
So pretty.
And this is in the Northlight Fibers Water Street Decay bag.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Merino and cashmere.
It's like butter.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. This is the Marius sweater. So I have to say, this has been on my queue. I watch a lot of podcasts, and Skandir Knits is one of like my favorite. And she had a knit along for this 2 years ago. When I was watching,
when you were watching,
but that's so cool. You know you're gonna love something if it's been in your brain for that long.
See, other people have done it,
right? Yeah. Well, and I hadn't knit color work before, and so I was just like watching and observing other people knit it, but I knew I wanted one. Yeah. So now I've learned how to do color work, and I'm making one.
It's so pretty.
And this is 40%. This wool is 40% cashmere, 60% wool. It just feels delicious.
Yeah, it
really does.
So soft.
And again, I was about, let's say, here, like in the middle of the large chart, and thought that I would finish to here on my trip. And I finished all the color work sitting in Milwaukee on the runway. So then once I got to Des Moines, I had to go to a local yarn store and get needles to do the sleeves. And now I'm almost done with the sleeve.
Nice. Yay. So you did this. This is a bottom up.
It is a bottom up pattern.
But how did you do it though?
So the body I did bottom up.
Okay.
The traditional way. But when I got to the sleeves, I know I like a little bit more fitted sleeve. I wasn't certain about sleeve length. Like, I'm not confident enough if I knit from the bottom up on the sleeve that I'm going to get the right length.
Right.
So I actually cast on the number of stitches that were supposed to attach at the sleeve, knit about 5 rows, and then just had, like this, on this side. I haven't started that one.
You used a provisional cast on.
Yes, which I didn't do right and have to unpick stitch by stitch.
It's short on a sleeve. You'll do it right next time.
Yeah, live and learn. I'm going to practice that technique. But, yeah, and then the way that I do my sleeves, I don't do them 2 at a time, but I place stitch markers every time I do a decrease. So then I just look at my stitch markers as, like, guideposts for my second sleeve and do exactly what I did this sleeve and, like, place the same stitch markers, and I can lay them next to each other and match them up and make sure the stitch markers are lining up the same way.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. Cool.
So that's my Marius.
Nice.
That's all my airplane knitting for the past 2 weeks.
That's some hardcore airplane knitting.
Yeah, unfortunately. United, be on time, and I won't knit as much.
I was delayed on United too.
At least you have a positive coming out of all those delays,
totally.
right?
I know, you got stuff done.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So I have a couple of whips with me. I have been wanting to do the Savage Heart cardigan for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Since it was originally the cockle shell cardigan that was in Mason-Dixon, one of their field
little
guides.
Mason-Dixon field
and
guides.
it was
super
so
cute.
pretty. And yeah, I must not have been the only person that saw that sweater and thought, that's adorable. I want to make it for me.
Because it was
baby
or kid?
It was baby. It was
baby.
really baby. It was
Okay.
infant.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I saw it, though, I'm like, I want to make that. And do I have to do all that math and everything?
Yeah.
And not
Size is
that
a lot of math.
Not that many months later, the designer, and the pattern is here somewhere. I don't have it with me. The adult version is called the Savage Heart Cardigan. It's by Amy Christoffers. And it's a really interesting construction. I'm still debating.
We'll link to it too.
Yeah.
I'm still debating whether to do it reverse stockinette, whether to have the reverse stockinette be the outside. I do already have a couple of reverse stockinette sweaters. I also did a Comfort Fade Cardi, and I have a Kelmscott that I did years ago. The ribbing does pop really nicely against the reverse stockinette.
It does.
It does, but I don't know. It's funny. Somebody was here yesterday. I worked on it a little bit while I was doing help time with people, and she was kind of flipping it over. She's like, I don't know, I kind of like this side.
I kind of like both too. I think the ribbing pops nicely because it's textural on both sides.
Yeah,
I got a clear delineation on the reverse.
And you know what's interesting? I actually like the way the increases look better on the stockinette side.
Yeah,
I really do.
Nice.
I don't know, whatever. So I've got time, but I've been kind of working on that. And then the other thing I've been working on.
What are you working it out of?
Oh, and this is
it's a worsted sweater.
Yeah, this is Diamond Pure Wool Superwash, which is the other option that a lot of people are using for the blankets that Amanda's doing right now. And, you know, a nice gray sweater. I'm channeling Jen. Like,
I do love a gray sweater.
Go with my gray sweater. But I wear black turtlenecks like 4 days a week in the winter.
Yeah.
So a nice gray sweater to go with my black turtleneck seemed like the right thing. Another thing I'm working on is a shawl. This is called Talmoon, and I was looking for something. I had this is the Ba November 18 colorway, which
that was a great colorway.
That was one of the best. It was totally,
that one may have been named Kathleen.
That's the one that should have been named Kathleen. That is just like my
not November. Kathleen.
This way is
that's the front.
That's the front. So
look at that. And this is with a navy.
This is with an Ancient Arts, and I think it's Midnight Clear. I love the way, even though it's two different dyers, the colors work together so beautifully.
Yeah. Those two would go really well together.
Yeah,
and you can absolutely mix dyers. I mean, that's the thing that I think sometimes people get a little bit freaked out about. They're like, well, I need to have brand 1 and brand 1, as opposed to saying like, okay, well, I can have brand 1 and brand 2 and brand 3 and brand 4.
Well, and I mix textures, like on my on the I Knit New York shawl that I'm doing.
Right.
I have a single ply and applied fingering that are working together very nicely.
Yeah,
it's your knitting.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's your knitting. Have
Don't
fun
be afraid
with
of it.
So I'm not going to put up the pattern info yet on this. We'll link to it on Ravelry. There are a couple little issues with the pattern, but I wrote to the designer and she was very sweet and said she was going to be taking a look at it.
Fantastic.
I played with it a little, as we do.
Yeah.
It's originally in the pattern, the eyelet rows were much closer together, but I like this proportion. I've got like 8-9 garter ridges between instead of 6 between eyelet sections.
I like this spacing.
So anyway, it's fun and it's growing quickly. Nice. And then I think I want to talk about my other not quite whip.
Almost whip.
It may be a whip later today.
Whip. Cast on.
The Tegna sweater, which a lot of people made last
I love this
summer.
Sweater.
It's gorgeous.
Let me see if I think people are still making it this summer.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's still, Caitlin Hunter of Boylan Knitworks does such beautiful designs. And somebody came into the store the other day wearing one that she'd made in, I'm not sure which fingering it was, but I'd been looking at doing it in a more summer yarn, and seeing it in person in, a superwash wool fingering put me over the edge. So I had some of the Ba La Jolla in Dirty Martini, grays and greens, gorgeous little pops of greeny yellow. That I had planned to use for something else.
Yeah, I think so. I'll take a picture.
Yeah. I think it's going to be gorgeous for this. So this will probably be a whip later today.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, because I know we talk a lot about, using woolier yarns on sweaters. Superwash is fantastic for something like that.
Because it is a summer sweater. It's right. Like you want it to be easy care. You really do.
Not only easy care, but the fabric is lighter.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of ways. It doesn't. There's not as much air. How does that work?
It works. Most superwash bases tend to be worsted bases, which means that when they're spun, the air is kind of smushed out of them, so they're denser and they're smoother and they're drapier. And a lot of, especially like rusticy wools, they feel more woolly because they're squishy in a different way. They have they're woolen spun, so they have the air in them already, and the air is the insulator, and the air is warmer.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and also like when you have little bits of the fiber poking out, which is kind of what makes a rustic wool more rustic feeling.
Right.
I feel like that can feel more psychologically warmer.
Right.
Than a dense,
like the little bit of fuzzy wool. Sort of.
Yeah, that little bit of fuzz kind of makes you feel like cozy.
Yeah. No, I know this is a superwash, and it feels to me like it's heavier weight, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But not as insulating.
Yes, it's not as warm because it's and this as well is a worsted superwash where it's smoother, it's a little shinier, it's denser, which is why it's heavy. Worsted spun, not worsted weight.
Yeah.
This is a DK weight. That's a DK weight. That's fingering weight. But a worsted spun, you squish all the air out when you're spinning it.
The fibers are all going in the same direction.
And the fibers are all going in the same direction, so it makes it denser and drapier. And there's no air trapped in it. Like your mohair sweater
traps a lot of air.
Traps a lot of air and is very warm because it's got all of that floof.
Yes.
All the the air.
It is pretty warm.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what we have new in store. I have...
Or even
it's not even really new so much as that we haven't featured it. Are these Wool Pets needle felting kits. This is Bluebird. Oh, these are finger puppets. I didn't even realize that.
Well, So
they're so cute.
One reason we got these is because my 13-year-old is totally into needle felting. I think these are perfect, especially as we look towards summer.
Exactly.
And you're like,
projects for kids and
what?
adults.
What am I going to do with my child when they're out of camp or not in camp and they're driving me crazy?
Right.
Love you.
Yeah. I mean, not for a 5-year-old.
With supervision.
Right. But the needles are a little sharp.
They're sharp.
But yeah, I mean, like definitely for a middle school or even probably an older elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. Absolutely. And needle felting is super fun. So these kits have everything that you need to do this. It includes 2 38-gauge felting needles, wool roving, easy to follow instructions. And what you do is you take the roving and then you take the needle felting needle, which basically looks like a needle with like a little
barb on the end.
On the end, and you go stop. And you think I'm kidding, but no, like that's literally stop. It's really great for getting anger out.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Stop. But it's also kind of hard to screw up, like because if you stab too much in one place and it's too dense, you add a little bit more wool and stop. But it's fun. It's very freeform.
Yeah.
And you can do like little individual little feeties and then stab them on. Sorry, now I'm getting violent.
Those need to be restabbed.
These need to be restabbed. I think someone in the store may have been like, I love this little feet, and then
that would be Eric, my 4-year-old.
And then stab. But you can reattach them very easily. And the more you stab, the denser it gets. This one is kind of squishy and sweet. But you can get them. I've made one of these kits. I had a little penguin. And he started out big, and then I just kept stabbing him. So he's now a little dense, and he sits up on his own. He's
I've seen, like, there's a lot of crafts you can do, too, like with the felt balls on, like, a string, right?
Yeah, that's so fun. And you can also, if you have a wool sweater that maybe has, like, a moth hole or something on it, you can also take roving or take wool yarn and needle felt over it. So you can do
cool.
needle felt embroidery, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Where you could be like, I'm going to put this, I have a muff hole here, I'm going to put a big flower patch over it. Don't do it on yourself.
On yourself.
You do it on the foam pad.
That's like when the warning is, don't iron your clothes while you're wearing them.
Yeah.
Same thing.
You know someone.
On your body.
You know someone somewhere did that, and you're like, dude.
Oh, I have done that. I put my
too.
skirt on the ironing board and tried to iron it.
Well, that's a hem. That's not hitting your body. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's better
didn't always end well.
It's better than using the stapler to hem it, or little pieces of duct tape, which I've also
done the stapler thing.
Double stick tape.
Yeah.
Double stick
And I'm the daughter of a seamstress who knows better, and yet still happens. But the needle felting kits are super, super cute, and we have a bunch of them. They're labeled. Some are easy, some are starter.
Some are medium.
Some are medium.
And the starters actually include the foam block that you felt onto.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah,
so
down here on the bottom.
Yeah, and we also have the block separately. So if the one that you love is not a starter, you can just get the little foam block, get your kit, and so on.
That's so you don't stab your tail.
Yeah.
Or yourself.
Yeah, you can also do it on like a dense sponge or something like that, but it's
a dense sponge or a brush,
yes,
like a scrub brush with the bristles up, and you put it on and you go stab. I just really like saying stab.
I think so.
How can you not? It's
all right. So we have another one other. This is a new to the store.
Yeah,
this has not been out yet. So why don't we pass this down and talk about it? And that one might be coming home. So this is Opal's Claude Monet collection of sock yarn.
Yeah, we have Regia, which is a popular self-patterning sock yarn. And I'd say, like, this is the other major sock pattern.
Opal and Regia are kind of like the classic.
Yeah. So how many colors do we have? 7 altogether?
We should have 8.
If we're,
we have 8.
I may
not. I may have
That's
missed
fine.
one taking them out of the package. But these are all inspired by Monet.
Yes. And
they're so
pictures
pretty.
of the paintings that each one is inspired by on the label, which is kind of fun. We can do a picture later.
There's like a little picture.
Yeah, that one's
the water.
The iris garden.
Oh, this is the iris garden.
This one, I went to Giverny probably 8 years ago, and it's amazing when you go. This is of the bridge over the water lilies pond at Giverny, and it looks like a water. It looks like a painting.
Just like it, right?
It was shocking, and like I've been on this bridge, so I sort of want to knit these socks now.
Yeah, I know. And these are great. These are really hard wearing too, because they're not. They're 75% wool, 25% polyamide.
Right.
But they're not scratchy.
My second socks ever I knit out of Opal, and I'm wearing them today.
Yeah.
They've been. I mean, they look just pristine.
I think the first ones. The first pair of socks that I ever made was Opal, and they
They
still, my sister Irene,
they just wear so well.
They wear so well.
Brought me a skein of Opal sock yarn and some circular needles at Thanksgiving one year, and said, "You need to make socks." And that was what got me back into knitting about 15 years ago.
And the self-patterning is so fun, too, because it keeps your interest.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's sort of like your gradient.
It is like the gradient, where you're just like, what's
I want to get to the next part. I want to get to the next part.
Yeah.
These would be great on these. And one ball makes one pair, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, one ball makes, for me,
one
it
pair
depends.
and change.
Yeah, so I'm a size 8 shoe.
Yep.
Medium. Right, and I use a little over half of a skein, and I like
for a pair.
For a pair.
Wow. How tall do you make your socks? Not that tall.
Oh, I make the top about as tall as the foot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like when you fold it in half, it's Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what though? I knit mine on zeros. That's why I use mine. I use more yarn than that.
Oh.
Because I make mine super dense.
I once did make like a pair of knee highs out of one of these. I don't know if it was.
There's a lot of yardage.
I agree.
And I'm like a size 9 foot, so
there's a lot of yardage.
But you know, they're probably not ones that I wore very much because I bet I did those on a bigger needle, so they're probably really too loose. The stitches are probably too loose.
Well, I mean, to be fair, one for me is probably a 0 for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I definitely have enough to make a kid's pair of socks after I finish a pair of socks for me.
You know what? I should try that. I wonder how much I have left. Because I do have a bunch of leftover sock yarn, but I've also done or have been doing over the past years or so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The Beekeeper's quilt, which is the little hexy puffs.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't stuff the hexy puffs because otherwise I would never be able to store the hexy puffs. But I have a lot. I make a lot of the hexy puffs out of the leftovers.
That would be really pretty too in these colors.
Oh,
it would be gorgeous.
So pretty.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
But so anyway, come in, check out the opal.
Yep.
I like that one.
And we're in the middle of some sock classes, right?
We are, or we're about
got some on the calendar.
Yeah, and we have. That's the other thing we should mention, guys. We have more classes coming up, including Knitting 101 and a couple of other ones. So always check shopyarnia.com on the classes tab so you can see what's coming up, because we'll be announcing even more as we go through the summer. And if you get our newsletter,
shopyarnia.com, you can find the information. The best place for when classes are posted is the newsletter, which Jen sends out every Monday morning.
Every Monday. So anytime a new class is put up, we try to aim to announce it on the newsletter.
Yeah, and feature that at the top of the list, because sometimes the list can be pretty long.
Yeah. It can get long. But also just keep scrolling down.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Or go to the website, go to the classes tab. Yeah. And you can also search for, if there's something specific you want. Type in sock, boom.
Yeah, there we go. We got it. And if you guys have any suggestions for classes that you want us to teach or projects that you want us to work on, definitely email us. There you can contact us through the comments down below.
Yeah, you can just put a comment.
Absolutely. You can put a comment down below.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can also email us at hello@shopyarnia.com. Or pop in the store and let us know, because we're always looking to do new stuff, and we'd love to do new stuff that y'all want us to do.
Yep, that's right.
So do we have anything else, because Amanda's got a call to hop on pretty quickly.
I think we're probably good for today, right?
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Ravelry at Shop Yarnia, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook.
Instagram and Snapchat are also Shop Yarnia.
Shop Yarnia. Facebook is Yarnia
LLC.
But if you type in Shop Yarnia, it does show up, because every so often I do that. And then like us on Facebook, sign up for our email newsletter, and don't forget to like and subscribe down below. And we will chat with you guys next time. Bye.
Take care.
Bye. Yesterday, and she's totally just sweater, head off the screen.
Right, I was like,
I think that's a podcast thing now.
Mm-hmm. I think it is. It's like the headless girl from YA novel. You always had a girl without a head on the YA novel, because then you didn't have to worry about the model.